there's a quote I really like. I forget who it came from, but it's that suffering is necessary until you realize that it isn't. And I think that holds true in a lot of people's situations.
Absolutely. Well, I know that that was one of my chief motivators for a very long time and I used to joke around about it, that I had spent so much time in hell that I made a map out, right? A very carefully detailed map on how to get out. And so every time I see somebody who's in hell, I'm trying to share parts of the map with them, right? I'm like, hey, watch out for this part. And, if you go that way, it won't be as bad for you. And it's just because I spent so long there that, I recognize it almost instantly. And it's just because it feels different, right? It actually feels like hell. It feels like you're disconnected from everything. And so when you suddenly find freedom, what's odd is that you're in a state where you could focus on yourself if you want to, but you almost don't want to. Now that you're free, it's like that's all you want to do is share that feeling with everybody else. And I find that amazing because, again, it's the flip side of selfishness, right? Because to some degree, you have to be selfish to find that freedom. And then in finding that freedom, that selfishness becomes selflessness.
Yeah, and I actually use this analogy on that podcast as well, but the idea of you can only give from an overflowing cup. And a lot of people who are out there, trying to change the world and make the world a better place, like great, but a lot of them are trying to do that from a half full or quarter full cup. And it's like, if your cup isn't full already, all you're going to be doing is expressing all of this energy and emotions from a very, not maybe fully empty, but partially empty cup. And that's just going to be expressed through that. So there's a degree of selfishness that you need to have before you can truly help others. And until you are at that point of freedom, it doesn't mean, like, don't help a stranger if you see him on the street suffering, if you're not fully happy yourself. I'm not talking about that, but in terms of focusing on yourself and like realizing that it's okay to be selfish with your own life and happiness before you start trying to help anyone else. And until that cup is overflowing, you're not going to do much good anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's going to be distorted to some degree by your own need. Right. Like that's the problem. I mean, I've met so many people. I know I used to be this person, actually, where any help I gave was specifically for how it made me look. It was specifically for how it changed my relationship with the person I was helping. Right. And then, of course, it's like, oh, well, can you help me? And oh, no, I'm busy. Well, I helped you. And that's not really helping. That's again, that's negotiating. Right. That's more or less manipulation. And so, yeah, it is difficult when your cup is not full to offer anything to anybody.